Hi, I'm Jess, and welcome to my channel, where I talk about books. For a few days last week, BookThreads was abuzz with discussions about a book that was just announced, The Purple State, by Dana Perino. Now, this book is obviously propaganda, and I thought it could be a useful tool to teach how to recognize if a book is propaganda. Fiction books are such a sneaky way to disguise propaganda, and I think that the romance genre is particularly vulnerable. That doesn't mean that other genres are safe. Like romance, fantasy also has a problem with a conservative bias. Romance is a better vehicle for propaganda because romance is particularly good at encouraging the readers to develop empathy. Probably because the main focus of romance books is on the characters and their relationships. Romance also attracts readers who just want to turn their brain off and have a good time. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying books that way, but by passively consuming media, readers are less likely to notice when the book they are reading is trying to influence their thoughts and opinions. I think it's a good idea to be aware of an author's potential motivation for publishing before uncritically consuming their book. Which brings us to the point of this video: how to tell if a book is propaganda before you read it. First, let's look up the author. Dana Perino is a Republican, and she was the White House press secretary under George W. Bush. Oh, and she also works for Fox News. So the author of The Purple State is very right-wing, and she spent her career presenting information to people in a way that is intended to get them on her side of the political aisle. The author bio alone makes it pretty clear that this book is very likely propaganda, but let's look for more evidence. Let's look up what the book is about. The #1 best-selling author, popular Fox News host, and former White House press secretary, Dana Perino reaches new heights with her first novel, a smart, politically and romantically charged story where red meets blue and love is never black and white. Dorothy Clark, a buttoned-up PR professional from New York City, feels stuck in her career and her love life. At 25, she expected more from her choices. Seizing a chance to follow her passion, she sent to Cedar Falls, Wisconsin, a swing district in a swing state that could decide the next presidential election. Joined by her two best friends, Mary and Harper, both excited to escape the city for reasons of their own, Dot quickly discovers that small-town Midwestern life is far outside her urban comfort zone. Nestled along the banks of the picturesque Cedar Creek, the charming town of Cedar Falls is everything the girls could have been missing. The close-knit community takes pride in its cozy cafes, locally brewed beer, family farms, and of course, the beloved Reader Falls bookshop. There, Dot meets the mysterious Danny Dawson, a big-hearted truck-driving guy who follows hockey, not headlines. A man so unlike anyone she's ever dated that she finds herself falling fast. Mary and Harper, both tired of dating finance bros and influencer wannabes, soon also discover that guys outside New York might just be hotter, smarter, and more grounded than they'd imagined, even if they vote the other way. But with the campaign heating up, how can Dot find time for Danny when she has a job to do? And what's the point when she's going back to New York City after the election? Can love really cross party lines, or will Dot filibuster her own feelings? And who says two people from opposite sides of the aisle can't eventually walk down one together? Dana Perino makes her fiction debut with this witty and delightful romantic comedy, a small-town romance and touching story of self-discovery that asks if choosing love is the best decision after all. Now, what could be Dana Perino's motivation for writing a book about a young Democrat woman from New York and a hockey-loving Republican from a small town falling in love be? Well, I spend enough time online to know that there's a not insignificant number of conservative men who complain that liberal women don't want to date them. There are also a lot of mostly conservatives and centrists who really try to push the idea that we should all just get along So what if we disagree about policy? We can like each other on a personal level. Conservatives want liberals to be more tolerant of their intolerance. Pushing for compromise and a middle ground just leads to liberals ceding ground to conservatives and pushes the Overton window further to the right. By meeting in the middle, conservatives aren't actually giving up anything, except maybe saying slurs in public. But by not pushing back for the sake of making peace, the liberals are tacitly endorsing the beliefs of the conservatives. And finally, there's the whole small town versus big city thing. Conservatives really hate big cities. I think it's to try to appeal to rural voters. Conservatives have a vested interest in convincing rural voters to hate people who live in cities. Major cities tend to vote Democrat. And if Republicans can convince rural voters that cities and the people who live there are awful, then the rural voter will vote Republican just to be oppositional. Without the political element, the Purple State could pass as the book version of a Hallmark movie. But it is very explicitly political. Dot is working on an election campaign, and the fact that the men Dot and her friends meet vote differently than they do is important enough to make it into the blurb. I can't read Dana Perino's mind, but given her background and the book's blurb, I feel comfortable concluding that it is definitely propaganda, with the intention of convincing readers that Republicans are actually really nice guys that you should definitely date. Just ignore the things they vote for. Because love is more important than silly things like affordable health care and human rights. The Purple State isn't even the only romance book of its kind. There's also Meet You in the Middle by Devin Daniels, that one Goodreads reviewer described as thinly veiled Trump re-election propaganda, and Ladies First MAGA Hat Romance Book 1 by Liberty Adams. I assume Liberty Adams is a pen name because it is just too American sounding to be real. And yes, the series is called MAGA Hat Romance and is not satire. Emma Thorne and Savvy Writes Books did a collab reviewing it a few years ago, in case you're curious to know what it's about. Now let's go through the process again with a different book in a different genre. I recently read the graphic novel Pemmican Wars, book 1 in the series A Girl Called Echo, by Katarina Vermette, and illustrated by Scott B. Henderson and Donovan Yachuk. If we look up Katarina, we'll see she's a Métis author and poet from Winnipeg. And the description of Pemmican Wars: Echo Desjardins, a 13-year-old Métis girl adjusting to a new home and school, is struggling with loneliness while separated from her mother. Then, an ordinary day in Mr. B's class turns extraordinary, and Echo's life will never be the same. During Mr. B's lecture, Echo finds herself transported to another time and place, a bison hunt, on the Saskatchewan prairie, and back again to the present. In the following weeks, Echo slips back and forth in time. She visits a Métis camp, travels the old fur trade routes, and experiences the perilous and bygone era of the Pemmican Wars. From this, we can conclude that the book intends to educate us on Métis history. The other books in the series are about the Red River Resistance, the Northwest Resistance, and the Road Allowance era. There's also a teacher's guide for the series, which makes it pretty obvious that these books are meant to be educational. Is a teaching resource propaganda? I say no. It presents information, but lets the reader draw their own conclusions. I included this example mostly because I wanted to talk about it and recommend it, but I didn't have much to say about it, and also to demonstrate that you can use the same method of determining if something is likely propaganda on any book of any format in any genre. I hope you found this video useful, and I encourage you to take a few minutes before you start your next book to research the author and the book and decide if it is really something you want to read, or if it is propaganda that you disagree with. Thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day.